This is Lavender Buff, and I'm making a video once again. This video is gonna be of the longer sort, so not under a minute long this time. First of all, I'm gonna tell a disclaimer. I'm definitely not a professional by any means, or by any standards. The characters I'll be discussing this time belong, at least mostly, to Blizzard Entertainment and are from the game Overwatch, and they in no way belong to me. Most of this is just a headcanon, so it's not official, and there also may be some mild swearing, I'm not sure yet, and a few times I'll be talking about war and stuff like that, so if you're sensitive to those topics, I suggest you don't watch this video. Also, I was inspired by Master Ian Gamer's series called Hero Watch, which I'll link in the description down below. Go check it out, it's pretty fun. He has, I think the newest video he has done of it is of Overlord. Well, anyway, on with the video. Oh, Ingrid Lindholm. We don't know much about her. Only her name, her approximate age, which is maybe somewhere along the same lines as Torbjörn's, 55 to 59 maybe, even though she looks younger than that. She lives in Gothenburg and is most likely Swedish. She works as a chemical engineer. She was originally seen in Reflections, the comic, which was published in the 20th of December 2016, and after that she has made an appearance in Brigitte's origin story, which was published in the 28th of February 2018. That's all the canon there is about her. We know approximately what does she look like. But what if we toss the canon out of the window for now and go through the fun part, the head canon? Oh, first of all, remember, this is just my head canon. This is my opinion, basically. You can have a different head canon. These basically cannot be right or wrong. But now I'll share my headcanon with you. You can share your headcanon with me down in the comments if you'd like. Ingrid Lindholm was born into a loving family in Vasa, Finland, a beautiful seaside city with old buildings and with a mostly Swedish-speaking population. Ingrid grew up bilingual, as her father was Finnish, but her mother was Swedish. She learned both Swedish and Finnish in school alongside English. She went through both primary and secondary school there and went through college/university nearby as well. She graduated and found a job pretty quickly after that and moved way more near to the Swedish border, dreaming of one day moving to Sweden. She was living her life well, and eventually gathered up the courage and the money and moved up to Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. She lived there for a few years, and everything was well for her. She met Torbjörn for some reason at some point and moved to Gothenburg with him. They started a family together and everything was well. Then the first Dominic crisis struck. Ingrid, even though she was living a good life, having a job, having children, having a husband, having a home, was afraid for both her parents back home, her children who were there afraid with her, and for her husband fighting in the front lines protecting other people. She waited and waited for her husband to come home, and when Torbjörn did, she was delighted and happy more than ever. See, he was safe. Of course, he went on way more adventures than just that, and Ingrid became used to being home alone with the kids, while at the same time working as a chemical engineer. Of course, Torbjörn came home for the holidays, and sometimes during the week he would stop by, if it was possible. She was pregnant with her last child, a daughter, when Torbjörn and Reinhardt came in, with Torbjörn missing an eye and an arm. They told her the story and how Torbjörn had basically promised Ingrid that Reinhardt could name the child and become their godfather, and Ingrid, although reluctantly, agreed. So Brigitte was born. Ingrid took good care of her, and saw how Reinhardt filled her head with stories. She liked how she had a lot of respect for the heroes of the stories, and wanted to be like them when she grew up. Still, when her children one by one fled the nest, she grew more and more afraid for them as well and their safety if the Omni crisis returned. And she became even more afraid when Brigitte, the last one, left the nest to adventure with her husband and her husband's best friend. She became even more worried when Overwatch was shut down, and when the second Omni crisis came. Even though it was now only in Russia, it was only a matter of time before it spread through the world. And with Tallinn and with Null Sector being active threats, she decided she needed to distract herself. She had previously, to deal with stress, taken up the hobby of cooking, and so that's what she did now, perfecting her skills again. But now she had an idea. She researched biotic technology, the same technology that Anna and Mercy used, and started baking it into her pies, in healthy amounts of course, and testing it on herself. Eventually she found a mixture that would heal wounds if being used well enough and correctly. Now she knew what she would do if Torbjörn and Reinhardt and maybe Brigitte returned home, wounded, mortally or not, she could heal them. But she still felt that wasn't enough, so she distracted herself by doing stuff like chopping wood and doing crafts. Eventually she discovered a pile of scrap metal from Torbjörn's old working station. She figured that Torbjörn is probably never gonna use them. The scrap metal he uses for his turrets he keeps with himself. This was probably something he'd never use. So she made herself an armor. Not a pretty one, but an armor nonetheless. Out of all the scrap metal, she painted it a nice color of blue and started to sew a dummy out of all the spare fabric pieces she had left. She started sparring with the dummy. With an axe she had used to chop the wood. She experimented with her skills. She wasn't in as good of a shape as her husband and her husband's friends and Brigitte were, and she was way older than Brigitte. But she knew she could do something, so she trained and trained. Eventually holiday season came, and she felt like she was ready. When they would return this time, she wouldn't let them leave without, being there, without her. tagging along and being there to protect them. Now, let's talk gameplay, since she needs to be more of a character than just lore. I was thinking she could use the pies to heal people. You know how Brigitte heals now by giving armor packs, like Torbjörn used to give beforehand? She would do the same, basically, but with pies, and it being more like, maybe, I don't know, Anna's biotic grenades. They would give a bit of splash healing, maybe like 50 or 75, if that's not too much, and then a bit of regeneration, maybe for 3 seconds afterwards. They could load in the same way as Brigitte's armor packs return, just one coming back at a time after a few seconds, maybe 5. I think she would be a support, like you could probably guess, since she doesn't have the build to be a tank, nor a mech suit that would help her with that. She also wouldn't be a DPS, since her main purpose wouldn't be to deal damage, but rather to take care of the ones dearest to her. So I think the class support would fit her perfectly. Her weapon would still be an axe, so she would be one of the only heroes with melee damage in-game, alongside Reinhardt, Brigitte and Torbjörn with his hammer. The axe wouldn't be really small, it wouldn't be really big, it would be rather delicate and short, and it would have a smaller area that it could hit in than, for example, Brigitte's mace. But it would still be able to hit long-range targets by... she would throw the axe and then quickly pull it back, resulting in a small knockback and stun. You may think that this may be overpowered, but I just thought about it logically. If you were to get hit on the head with an axe, you would stumble a bit backwards, especially if it was a big axe, right? Out of the sheer power it comes towards you in. Then when it got pulled out in just as fast of a speed, you would stumble a bit forward, right, and be left a bit stunned as to why that happened. That's just my theory, I guess. But I think that would do about the same amount of damage as her healing would do in a short time. Like maybe 50 damage or 75 damage at a time. Her normal swings of her axe would deal maybe, I don't know, 10 damage. If that's too overpowered, 5. If both of these are too low, then maybe 15. She wouldn't really have any movement abilities, and these could basically be all her abilities. For her ultimates, I'm not sure. Maybe it could work kind of similarly to Brigitte's ultimates, but I'm making this up as I go right now. But maybe it could, for an example, give 50 shields to her whole team, regardless of where they are in the map, and maybe I'm not sure. Maybe make everyone's attacks a bit more powered, like not nano boost level powered, maybe like mercy damage boost powered, so they would basically deal a bit more damage and have a bit more health, but instead of health it's armor. I'm not sure if that's too overpowered or something. For her ultimate scream, I'm not sure. I'd kind of want it to be something in Finnish or Swedish for her enemy ultimate, and for her team ultimate something in English, obviously. Maybe something like varokaa tuloamme for the enemy and beware we're coming for the team call. I'm not sure. Let me get to know you guys' thoughts in the comments down below, okay? For the last part of the video, I'm gonna talk about cosmetics, like skins and such stuff like that. For her classic skin, she can be seen in her blue armor. Why blue, you may think? I decided to go for the primary colors on her, Torbjörn's and Brigitte's armors, since they complement each other pretty well. Torbjörn has the red, Brigitte has the orangey yellow, so the last color to cover will be blue. For the rare colors, basically basic 3 colors of her classic skin, I think that they would be as following. Puna, which would be kind of reddish, a red recolor. Kelta, which would be a yellowish recolor. Viher, which would be a green recolor. And maybe, I don't know, violet, which would be a purple recolor. At least the 3 first would be short terms of the respective colors in Finnish, and the last one, if I remember correctly, is purple in Swedish. For her epic skins, I'm not sure about the base game skins, but at least 2 summer game skins. Why 2? Well, she has 2 nationalities, so maybe 2 flag skins would make sense. First would be Lejonar, which would be designed after the Finnish flag, which is a blue cross in a white background, and it would have some lion aesthetics going on somewhere as well. Whereas this, the Finnish ice hockey team is called Leijonat, which translates to lions in English, or Lejonar in Swedish. She would also have another skin, designed a bit like Torbjörn and Brigitte's Tre Kronor skins, but instead called Kolme Kronor, which, you guessed it, is just the same thing but in Finnish. Also referencing the Swedish ice hockey team Tre Kronor. For her legendary skins, I don't have that many ideas. Maybe for anniversary a cook themed one? Or maybe for archives a scientist one? No, I'm not sure yet. Maybe something referencing Norse mythology, since Brigitte has already Shield Maiden and Torbjörn has Viking. Those could be cool, if they would have a family of matching skins together. I'm not sure. Again, let me know in the comments, what do you think? For emotes, she could obviously have a sit. Maybe not as useful as many other character sits, but rather a comfortable motherly sit, since she wouldn't be really experienced in the field of battling and fighting. She would also maybe have a laughing emote, which would be her laugh would not be like taunting or mean or something like that. It would rather be warm and genuine. And she could also have a dance emote for archives. No, not archives, anniversary. I'm not sure what kind of a dance would fit her the most. Maybe a traditional Finnish dance? I know there are some for a fact, but I don't know the right word for them. She could also have a legendary skin designed after the national skins the people living in Same wear. Something with red and blue and yellow and white. I'm not sure how to describe them. I may put a picture of them up screen or something. Or traditional Finnish or traditional Swedish outfit. That would be cool too. For her voice lines, there would be obviously ones in English, in Swedish, in Finnish. Maybe something like, I don't know, straight from the oven, or I didn't even think that this level of stupidity would be possible. I don't know, I just want some sassy voice lines in there as well. For her victory poses, there would be most likely a pumpkin, a medal, a toast, the basic ones, and the RIP one. And maybe something like stern with her hands on her hips, looking at you like a disappointed mother or something. I don't know. I'm running pretty low on ideas. And her golden gun would affect both her pies and her axe. Her axe would obviously be all golden, and her pies trays would turn from silverish to golden. Well, that's all I have for you today. You can share your ideas in the comments down below, and remember that I'm definitely not a professional. I do not work with Blizzard in any way, and that I made this just for fun and to share my ideas with the world. Well, I hope I'll see you soon. Bye, and have a nice rest of your day or night or whenever you're watching this. Bye bye!